Good morning, students. It's a great pleasure having all of you present here today in the live class that you have taken decision to attend. Good. But before we start, we need to see the information of the lecture first. Class 9th, we are studying subject English and the book we are studying is Moments. And the chapter we are going to read or we have been reading A House is Not a Home, written by Jen Gaudiso. And this is lecture number 3rd. I hope so that today we'll be able to complete the lecture. Though you just need to be a little bit patient so that we can complete. If all of a sudden the class disconnects, there might be problem of internet. We need to just remain in contact. We need to remain in the class connected so that we can justify if anything goes missing. The class will automatically reconnect students, right? So what do you have to do basically? You have to see this that if class disconnects, you need to remain connected, right everyone? So this is lecture number 3rd, means what we have studied so far. Let's recap that. What we studied, the author basically, the house of the author burned down. All the things of the house like wearing or books or every sort of material, like except photos or some docs or letters we can say of author's fathers were saved by the mother of the author. Then they had to live on a rent, or like grandparents' house need to borrow money from grandparents, right everyone? So they were facing so many problems in their life because all the cards or credit cards, all the clothes, all the living things basically were burned down, right? It was all terrible in their life, the author's life. Entirely, thing became very terrible. It always seems that now the next, let's read it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The fifth extract, students, fifth passage we are going to study. It always seems that bad news spreads quickly. In any case of it was no different. In any case, there is a completely saying that the bad news spreads quickly. It goes to the people very fast. In any case, it was no different. And this case basically of the house being burnt was not so different. I was embarrassed as if I was you see what we got, everyone in the high school, including the teachers, was aware of my plight. Plight means like condition or situation. Everyone in the school, because the author was in the new school where all the teachers and students and complete system was absolutely new for him. They were all familiar, they were all aware about the condition or the situation of the author basically. I was embarrassed as if somehow I were responsible. What a way to start off at a new school. I was embarrassed means was feeling some sort of shyness or shameness basically, as if somehow I were responsible. Means he was feeling himself that he was responsible for the things taking place in his life. But but we get there. What a way to start off at a new school. This was not the kind of attention I was looking for. Like there was something very different which was going to take place. He was not even expecting for this, or how he was attending the new school, like he was taking all the things new. was feeling ashamed what sort of situation was with him. So he was not looking for these types of things as he was given or such type of attention he was given. The next day at school, people were acting even more strange than usual. So what we get here, like the situation, what the situation basically we get here, the situation which was with author, he was in a very terrible situation. When the author was in very terrible situation, and he was started going school. What he found, what he saw there, that the students were behaving in a very strange manner than usual. Usually, they used to behave a bit strange because the author was new in the school. But today it was something very different. They were behaving in a very unusual manner, right? So what happened in that case? The next day at school, people were acting even more strange because there was very different thing. I was getting ready for gym class at my locker. People were miling around me. Miling around me means like people were moving around me in a large mass. Miling means like they were moving around. In a large mass means in a large number, asking me to hurry up. They were asking me again and again to hurry up so that I can get ready quick so that I can take decision to go to ahead. I thought it strange. I thought it strange, but in the light of the past few weeks, nothing would surprise me. And what author is talking about, like in the past few days, he had never thought like this, the things would take place in his life, and that surprised him a lot. It was almost seemed that they were trying to shove me into the gym. Shove means to go fast into the gym. Then I saw why there was a big table set up with all kinds of stuff on it. With all kinds of stuff on it. Just for me, they had taken up a collection of clothes, jeans, tops, sweatsuits. It was like Christmas. Now you see what we see students there like. The students of the new school were paying much more attention to the author basically because his all sorts of things were burned down in the house basically. So they all were familiar about his plight, about his situation. So what happened then? They brought all the things basically needed for him to live happily, to cope up with the present scenario. So what it is there? They had taken up a collection and bought me school supplies. School supplies also, the things which were needed, which were required in the school, like notebooks, all kinds of different clothes, jeans, tops, sweatsuits. These things basically were needed in the school most. At home, he could wear anything, but in the school, he needed it. And it was very difficult for him to buy these whole things all of a sudden from the shop because the money or the credit cards or debit cards, they all were burned down. Also, author is saying it was looking like it was a Christmas for him, right? It was like Christmas. I was overcome by emotion, overcome by emotion. Overcome means like he felt very deep emotions. People who had never spoken to me before. And in the new school, basically, author is talking like there were people who never spoke to him, who never paid any sort of attention. They were talking to him basically. They were giving him importance. They were talking to him. They were giving him importance, right? Sweatsuit and some other sorts of things were there. So people started talking to him, or people started giving him importance. I got all kinds of invitations to their houses. I got all kinds of invitations to their houses. Right? They had invited him to their houses. They just offered him to come to their houses to enjoy a sort of small parties so that the author can forget or can overcome or like can take care of himself with a different environment basically. Their genuine outpouring means with the heart, with the bottom of the heart, they were inviting him or like giving him such a good environment of concern, basically. So they were just paying him attention, they were giving him importance. Really touched me. Outpouring of concern really touched me. Touched me means felt me really very emotional or like was feeling very different there, having a sort of encouragement in that instant. Now, what we get here, I finally breathed a sigh of relief. Means he had a relaxed environment there and relaxed everything. He felt relief, he felt there and thought for the first time that things were going to be okay. This was the first time, students, for the author when he was given importance by the author's friends in the new school. New people were there and they were giving him attention. Earlier, they were not talking to him because he was new. But now, after them being like familiar with the author is saying like he felt like things were going to be okay now. We're taking in the right direction, please. I made friends that day. And that day, what happened? Author made friends, and all were a bit new friends were there. A month later, I was at my house watching them rebuild it. Now you see what happened next. Students, please wait a minute. Well, see, students, inquiries keep going. So, sorry for the interruption. Let's continue. What we were talking about, we were talking about like author felt like the things were being okay or things were going in the right direction. I made friends that day. An author said that he was just making friends that day. A month later, I was at my house watching them rebuild it. And 1 month later, what the author found that the house was being built again. But this time it was different. But this time, this author felt like this was a bit different. It took a fire for me to stop focusing my new friends from school. So what it is basically, students, I wasn't alone. Author is saying when the house was being built there, mason were making the house. He is saying I wasn't alone. I was with two of my new friends, and there were two of his new friends from school, who were from school or new friends. It took a fire for me to stop focusing on my feelings of insecurity and open up to all the wonderful people around me. Now, earlier he used to feel very insecure because he was in the new school, new friends, everything, every system was new, right? So, what happened in that case? What we found there, like, it took a fire basically. The fire was there which helped him not to focus on the insecurities or to become open-minded person for his friends or people who were around him, whether in the school or out of the school. Now I was sitting there watching my house being rebuilt when I realized my life was doing the same thing basically. So what happened in that case? There the author felt really very happy because the house was being rebuilt. It was rebuilt again. And author realized that the things he was doing, now it is same turning to the same place or same situation. While we sat there on the curb, planning my new bedroom. Curb means like you call on the way, footpath out of the building. I heard someone walk up to me from behind and say, "Does this belong to you?" And now the author just listened, someone was there and talked from behind. Someone was there and talked to him or talked, said, "Does this belong to you?" Something was there. When I turned around to see who it was, author says, when I took the turn and saw who it was, I couldn't believe my eyes. A woman was standing there holding my cat, and a woman was standing there in front of the author, and she was having in her hands author's cat. I leapt up and grabbed her out of the woman's arms. Quickly means very quickly, author grabbed means took that cat from that woman's arms. I held her. Author is saying, I held her close to me and cried into that beautiful orange fur. And then what happened there? Author just took that cat from that lady. When he took that cat from the lady, like close to me, and cried into that beautiful orange fur, and he started crying, and that cat was also crying. The orange fur, it like having the cover or the body of that cat. You can see in the picture also, children. And she purred happily, means she came to him happily and felt happy. My friends were hugging me, hugging the cat and jumping around. The two of the friends basically of the author were there with him. They started jumping, shouting, right? Apparently, my cat had been so freaked by the fire that she ran over a mile away. Apparently means everything was crystal clear that cat had been so freaked means scared or like feared by the fire that she ran over a mile away. She ran 1 or more than 1 kilometer means mile away from house. Her collar had our phone number on it, but our phones had been destroyed. But the phones had been destroyed. No one was able to call because in the house fire, all the cell phones or like the boxes of the phones were burned down and disconnected. This wonderful woman took her in and worked hard to find out whose cat it was. The lady was really wonderful. Author is saying, author is just appreciating about the old woman, and that was wonderful, very nice woman who took care of the cat and tried to find out whose cat it was. Somehow she knew this that cat was loved and sorely missed. She knew that cat was loved and sorely missed. As I sat there with my friends, and my cat curled up in my lap. And what we find here, the feelings and the emotions, students. The cat basically came into the lap of the author. When the cat came into the lap of the author and relaxed, overwhelming feeling. Overwhelming means very important feeling, very enthusiastic feeling of loss and tragedy seemed to be diminished, means such type of feelings basically, which were just making him sad or like depressed, these were gone, diminished. I felt gratitude. Gratitude means abhar, ehsan of my life, my new friends, the kindness of a stranger, and the loud purr of my beloved cat. My cat was back, and so was I. Now, the author was really very happy, very, very happy, and his friends also, because the life has come back on the track and it was looking very different. What it is saying, but cat was back, and so was I. So was I means like when I was in a state of depression and sadness. Now I am back with the happiness of the life, and I have started living my life to the very beautiful point of view. Right, everyone? Now, see, students, that's enough for today's lecture. If any one of you has got any sort of doubt, you can raise your hand. I'll be there to help you out to sort out any sort of problem you have faced. Otherwise, today you'll get the question answers of this chapter, which you are supposed to complete. Right, everyone? So no one is having doubt. Thank you very much for joining the class. The rest we'll see in the next lecture.